All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lasting Learning Podcast. This week's episode is a real treat for me. A, because this is an episode I've been trying to record for about a year now. And B, this is an episode that is going to tell a story that I think is going to resonate with everybody. Whether you are a kid, whether you are a senior citizen, whether you are somewhere in between. Our guest today has a story that is transformational, it's inspirational, it's powerful. I first heard his story about a year ago, like I said. He was invited to come speak at a school that I was working at. He was being honored as a distinguished alumni, basically being honored in the school's Hall of Fame. And he came in and started speaking. My jaw just dropped. His speech was nothing like I had ever heard before, because his story was like none I'd ever heard before, because he is like nobody I've met before. Today, we've got an amazing man, a man of many, many talents. He is an entrepreneur. He is a professional businessman. He is a professional musician. He is a photographer, an award-winning photographer. He is just incredible in all things. Today, we've got the one, the only, Ron Conigliaro on with us. Ron, thank you so much for being here, man.
Wow, man, that's an amazing intro. Thank you for that.
And it's all true. That's what's so cool about it. You are living the life that I think a lot of people wish they could live. But your life has been quite the journey to get you to where you are.
Yeah, it's been a crazy one.
Do you mind filling in some of those gaps for us? Can you take us as far back as you want to go? Tell people who you are. Tell us what school was like, what life has been like, and what you're kind of doing with your world right now.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Detroit, and we moved out to Ortonville in the country area when I was 13, and going to school out there was kind of cool. It was like a family environment with everybody, and riding motorcycles and whatever, and I was very involved with music, and I don't know what it was really that my father, I guess, was a huge influence in my life. That he didn't really go to college. He was the second generation Italian here in the States, and he worked so hard. And I saw him accomplish so much. And I always had this sense that while I was going to school or whatever I was doing, that I could get anywhere or do anything I wanted in life, just flat out being good to people and working hard like my father did. So being a musician, that was my passion. And so I never really had any interest to go to college. I never, through high school, thought I was going to go to college. And in fact, my mother would threaten me if I didn't, and I still didn't. And, I wanted to go and try, right? And live this dream. And so I did. The day we graduated high school, I packed up and moved down to New Orleans. Had no job, nothing. I went down there, got a job, got two jobs actually, and started recording and learning how to do that, and starved to death, to make a long story short. So I wound up coming back to Detroit, and my uncle had a company that did electronics. So I went there and taught myself how to write software. And now I own, multiple international software development companies with offices all over the world. And it was pure, literally 24 hours a day, some days just work. I looked at all my buddies were going to college, so, I had to compete and it's just work hard, but, I continued to do music, and the software, it got me traveling all over the world, which then led to my photography, where I said, okay, if I'm going to all these beautiful places, I want to take advantage of that and photograph these places and these moments. So that's when I got serious about photography anyways, and started shooting. And, you know, now, like you said, have exhibits all over the world with the photos, and I kind of seek out crazy places and crazy things, and, you know, to get unique photos and have a little adventure. But so that kind of connects the dots for you, you know, like how one thing led to another. But along that journey, there's been some interesting episodes, to say the very least.
And I want to talk about some of those interesting episodes. I want to talk about some of those experiences that you've had, because I think the listeners are going to be fascinated by some of your story and some of the places you've been able to go, people you've been able to meet, animals you've been able to encounter, all of that. I want to go back to something that you just said, though, that intrigues me, because I know that listening to this, there are a lot of parents, probably a lot of educators that are listening to this podcast. And you said something early on in your story. When you moved to the small town of Ortonville, coming from Detroit, it was kind of fun riding dirt bikes and all that and meeting new friends. But at no point in high school did you ever really think about going to college. You said your mom thought you were going to go, but you never did.
Oh.
What was it about college, or the thought of college, that said, yeah, that's not for me? Is it just you had the I'm going to be a rock star dream, or was it school just wasn't your thing?
You know, so I've given that a lot of thought, right, over the years, and I think the answer to that is that my mom and my dad have always pushed us, where they would say, you know, be a leader, don't be a follower, be a leader, don't be a follower. And this led to where I always had a vision, and I still do. And the vision for me, college was never in it. And I don't know why. I just always had a vision that I could do anything I wanted just by pure working hard. Now, you know, when I was at the school giving the speech there, you know, I told, you know, because I'm thinking, oh my God, these teachers are going crazy because I'm telling the kids they don't have to go to college. And I'm not saying that, you know, I don't recommend necessarily taking the path that I took, because, you know, there's just a lot of businesses that you just physically won't get a job if you don't have a college degree. So I think, you know, again, you have to have a vision for yourself and what you want to do, and then get on that path, you know. And for me, I don't know, man. It's just, yeah, I guess music for sure. It wasn't like I was going to go to college and be a musician, because to make it in music, this wasn't necessarily the best area to be in. And it was kind of silly for me to go to New Orleans, because I don't know that that was the best area either. But I don't know. I just never considered college. I never did. You know, I saw my dad do it, and my dad's was an engineering business. And I just thought, okay, if he did it, I can do it. So I didn't think about it.
Then you went to New Orleans thinking you were going to make it big. You were going to, what was the dream? And then when the dream didn't work out, was there a sense of embarrassment or fear coming back home? Or was it just, okay, that chapter's temporarily closed and now let's figure out what else is in store for me?
Yeah, so I think this is another maybe unique trait that I might have, is that I don't feel embarrassed like that. Like you said, I always feel like, okay, I gave it my best shot, and I'll go do it again, and maybe do it right this time. Right. So I'll learn from that last time. And, you know, I give myself the ability to fail, because I know my dad would tell me all the time. He'd say, Ron, all my friends are millionaires, and the ones with college degrees I can count on one hand. And he'd say, you know why that is? I go, why? He goes, because they don't take risks. So you have to take risks if you so-called want to make it big, right?
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, of course, that's not totally true, but, you know, so I always had this feeling that, okay, you have to give that extra effort. You have to be willing to take risks, and then you have to allow yourself to fail and then come right back at it. You know, when I was at school, I was talking to the kids the one day, and I said, look, it doesn't happen fast, right? That's the other thing. And I said, you have to look at it like each day you're putting down a brick, just one. Don't be overwhelmed by the whole wall you have to build.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about one brick, put it down. Then tomorrow, the next day, put down another one. And I said, in 5 years, you're going to have a wall that's 4 feet high and it's the length of a football field. And I go, and there's always some idiot that comes over and knocks your bricks down. Pick them back up and get going again. It's just the way life is. And it doesn't happen overnight. So you have to keep going each day, little by little by little. With photography, you know, I would click and I would think it's awesome. I go back at those photos now and they suck, right? Because you learn as you go. It takes time. So, you know, it took millions, literally, of photos, literally millions. You know, in a day, I'll shoot, you know, 4,000 photos, easy.
Wow. Looking for the one.
Exactly. Of 4,000, I just did a photo shoot last week. I think there were, the one day with the model, we had over 2,000 photos. I think there were 2 that I picked, you know, to use. So you just have to keep at it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're doing software, each day you learn a little bit more, and you know, you'd screw up and then you figure out why and don't do it again.
Oh, that's so good.
Know? So that's, you know, kind of how I've always been. So now I don't really feel embarrassed like that. You know, I mean, of course you don't want to fail, but you know, if you've got that vision and you stick to it, you just, you know, pick yourself up and press on, you know.
You use that bricklaying metaphor, so I'll use that. And in your life right now, I'd say it's safe to say you literally have thousands of bricks that have been laid to build this wall of your life. As you look back on it, are there any of those bricks, those moments in time that you look back on and say, wow, that's something I will never forget, that changed who I was, that's a defining pivotal point?
Yeah, you know, I think with me, it was the first time that I traveled overseas. The software company I was working for sent me to El Puerto de Santa Maria in the south of Spain to work on a project. And I got off the plane in a city called Jerez, and I couldn't speak. In fact, I was saying Jerez because it's spelled Jerez, and I'm saying Jerez, right? And it's pronounced Jerez. And you know, you don't speak the language, you don't know where you're at. And I just met all these beautiful people who helped me. And that's when I really started to open my eyes to, you know, things outside of the United States and, you know, this little world that I was used to. And a lot of the people there in Spain, like to this day, it's like a second home to me. Really, I think changed my attitude toward how I feel about people in general, right? That there's so many good people out there, and you know, I wanted to go meet them. So I don't know, it gave me this path now where I want to go everywhere in the world, right?
Do you know
I
how many?
I want to hear every song. I want to eat all the food. I want to meet all the people.
How many countries have you been to? Do you keep track?
Yeah, now it's 49. So I'm going crazy trying to get number 50. And COVID has kind of screwed me up because otherwise I'd be well over that right now.
Well, that's awesome. And with your travel, is it mostly for your software company, or is it mostly your passion projects now?
Now it's mostly passion projects, you know. So I was in expedition to Mount Everest last year. So we were all over China and virtually everywhere in Tibet and Nepal. And the idea on that trip was to go and photograph the Buddhist monasteries up in the mountains. And so that was kind of a cool project. I've got in next February, I might be hosting an expedition to go to Mongolia to film snow leopards in the wild. That it's their mating season, so we're hoping that we can find some snow leopards. It's a pretty rare cat to go find, but so stuff like that, you know. I mean, each year I'll pick 1 or 2 trips. That's something that it's that I've never done or that I never thought I would get to do, you know. So I guess another brick was when I was standing on top of the Great Wall of China. I just pinched myself and said, how did I get to this place? Right? It's just never in a million years was something I thought that I would ever get to do. And you know, so you learn, okay, you can go do it, you know, and it makes you want more. So then, you know, then the vision is to figure out how to go do it.
So where is the place you haven't been that is on the bucket list?
Oh, that I haven't been, probably Iceland.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe that seems simplistic, but all of the photos and places I've seen from Iceland, they're just breathtaking. So it's weird, you know, a lot of the common places like Australia or certain countries in Europe I haven't been to, but you know, I've been to Ghana and Senegal and Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, you know.
That's so cool.
Places like this.
So let me ask you this. When somebody says, who is Ron Conigliaro? Do you identify yourself as this photographer? Are you a guy that just follows his passion? Are you an entrepreneur? What label do you possess now?
You know, when people ask me, what do you do? It's kind of a weird question to me because it's the software business that pays, you know, most of the bills, but it's time-wise, I'm doing as much photography, if not more, than I put into the software business. But if you asked me what I am, I'd probably tell you a musician. You know, and it's what I do the least, but that's where my heart is, and that's, you know, where I started. But I don't know. I don't like to use the word entrepreneur. It just seems maybe a little arrogant for me to, I don't know. I just don't like it. But that's, you know, if you're putting labels, I suppose it would be more like that.
Do you call yourself a rock star?
No, never. Only went to my wife. I tell her.
Oh, she calls you that, I'm sure, right?
No, she reminds me I'm not, but
she keeps you humble.
There have been a number of times where we would go places, and in fact, it happened at the airport the one time. The guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, you're the drummer from this band," and oh man, I still to this day I tell her what a rock star I am because of that.
That was that's ironic to me that you've got this company that literally has offices around the world. You've taken photographs in close to 50 countries, but yet like this moment that you dangle in front of your wife is the moment that one guy at the airport remembered your music. Why do you think that's got that sweet spot inside of you?
You know, I don't know, because I just think of myself as an artist, but as a musician, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could do anything, it would be that. You know, but it's just not realistic, so I don't. You know, but if I could go and
but taking an expedition to Mount Everest and capturing snow leopards in the middle of the winter in Mongolia, that is realistic, huh?
Well, because I can afford it, because I
go.
have
Okay.
this other business, right?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. If the music business is so hard, and you know, I'm still involved, you know, in doing production, TV production, and you know, not now because of COVID, but I tried to get way more involved with doing production. I was working on some Hollywood film stuff, both in LA and here in Detroit. But, you know, so I'm trying to break into stuff like that. And, but music is just, it's just too hard to make the kind of money that, that would allow me to go and do these other things.
What I love about that is that you still have this dream. You still have this thing that you've been chasing literally since you were a little boy, this dream that you've held on to, and you continue to hold on to it, but yet you're balancing that with realism and also continuing to feed your passions. I think oftentimes we tell kids a couple of misnomers about life. One thing we tell them is everybody has to go to college, which I think you are a testament that that's not necessarily a gospel truth. Education does help. Education helps level the playing field, but education comes in a lot of facets. I would argue that you were educated through failure. You were educated through working in businesses and getting a strong work ethic from your parents. You got that education. Yet another misnomer I think we tell people is that your job has to be your passion, and you always have to follow your heart for your career. And I would argue sometimes your job simply has to support your passions. And I don't know if that's what you're saying right now or not. I'm not sure if you're saying the software company kind of just helps you so that you can then fill your passions. It's almost like your own business is an investor in your life, and they are feeding you your ability to go out there and find happiness and peace and contentment in these other avenues or not. But I'm intrigued by this, and I'm fascinated by it. As a guy who, I'm 42 years old, and I feel like I'm still oftentimes trying to figure out that next step in my life. How do you figure out that next step? You said you still have these projects that you're trying to entertain. You're still trying to break through some of those Hollywood walls, and you're still trying to look for new opportunities. Why are you looking for new opportunities, and what do you think drives that?
Okay, so
I know it's a big lot and a lot.
Yeah,
I
let
know.
me take all that in because I had a few thoughts going there. For me, the drive is, like I said earlier, there's something in me that I have this sense of wonder, and maybe you nailed it, like at the very beginning of what you were saying, that it started from a kid and having these ideas of what you could do. And I'm still a kid. I mean, you can't see here in my office, but there's photographs of Godzilla hanging up all over the place, and I've got a photo hanging here that was signed by the actor who was in the Godzilla outfit. And I have this sense of keeping that childhood wonder. And as far as work goes, I don't care what job you put me in. I don't care what it is. I would keep my mouth shut, put my head down, work hard, and try to advance in that company as far as I could. And just by doing that, it leads to other opportunities. Because if you start out the dishwasher and you're working your butt off, then one day they're going to say, hey, you're reliable, you work hard, you're smart, why don't you try cooking? Because we need help. And then you do that. And now you know how the business works because you've been there forever. Then they have you manage the place. And then one day you leave there and you go open your own restaurant. So it's the bricks, right? It doesn't happen overnight. You have to learn how all these things work, but you have to have a vision for yourself that you want the next thing, And so for me, writing software, it was not a choice. It just kind of happened because I was doing some electronic stuff with my uncle, and he had a computer, and he said, go figure this out. And I sat there all night, every night, literally figuring it out. I tell every kid that I meet now, software is like the last frontier. They have everything that they need to know to become a world-class photographer and make $150,000 a year sitting right in front of them. But instead of playing video games, go study how to write code, because everything you need is right there on the internet. And they can sit in the basement and learn how to write code and become the best at it. And guys like me will hire them. I don't care if they went to college. Now, if you go to the automotive companies or something like that, they're going to care. But there are a lot of companies like me who need good, talented kids that don't care how they learned it. They just want to know that you're good at it. And for me, it's actually kind of impressive if I figured out they did it by themselves. So, it's just a matter of don't talk about it, go do it, and don't stop.
You said it's impressive when they go do that. And I think it's probably because you're getting somebody that doesn't just have the know-how. They're proving they also have the passion, the willpower, the drive, and the commitment,
They're
which are
motivated.
those skills that we don't necessarily measure. We don't assess in schools. But I would say that is your secret sauce. All of those intangibles, those what people tend to call the soft skills, which I would argue are often the hard skills for a lot of people, are truly the differentiators between those people that quit early, those people that go to New Orleans and then tuck their tail between the legs and crawl into a hole and say, I didn't do anything, I didn't make it. And those people would say, huh, that was a fun challenge. What's next? And they go on and they continue to go and continue to grow, which is who you are. You are this guy that's like, I'm just going to take on whatever the world gives me and see what happens and just go
Yeah,
with it.
I sort of go crazy with kids that don't do anything because they say, oh, the job that they were offered isn't their passion.
Mm.
Because everybody tells them this lie that you have to just go and only do what you love. And I just don't think that that's right, personally. I think that if they go and take whatever the job is, they can make that evolve into the thing that they love. So, for example, for me to go and shoot snow leopards, it's not cheap to go do that, right? It's very hard. And, so you have to have some, money coming in, obviously, that allows you then to go and do the things that you love to do. And if you're very good at those things you love to do, then in turn, they become a business for you.
Yeah.
Right? So now I get all kinds of projects, shooting for movies. I've got restaurant projects I'm doing right now. I just got another project for a Christian film that I'm going to go shoot film or a video for out in Ohio that's coming up. So, it doesn't happen overnight, but you got to get to that. If you just sit and wait, it's not going to happen. Nobody's just going to call you and offer you your dream job with the kind of money that you want to make.
Yeah.
It's unlikely.
Yeah, I introduced you and I said that I first met you when you were getting this Distinguished Alumni Award from the high school that you graduated from. And we were talking before we started recording about how shocked you were when you got that call. Do you think your teachers and the people that knew you back in high school, do you think they would be shocked at who you are and what you've been able to accomplish?
Well, there were a couple that were there that night,
yeah.
And it was so cool because they were quite proud. And the one teacher was my art teacher, who she was one of the people that had a big influence on me in my life.
Mm.
And I don't know, she didn't seem so shocked. She kind of seemed like, I knew you had this in you. Maybe how it ended up, that I'm involved in software and stuff like that. Of course, they think was interesting to them, but I don't know. Like the rest of the school, I laughed when they asked me to do it. I said, why? They threw me out of that school. Is what I said. And I was just teasing. But I wasn't the greatest student. I was very nice, like to all the people and the teachers and stuff. But I was, by no stretch, an overachiever or National Honor Society. I was just an average student. But so I don't know. I think that they knew that I was capable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so good. There's so many nuggets of just practical life advice that's coming from your story. And I do a fair share of research in my day job. And I think too often when we're doing research, we're looking at the norms. You talk about the bell curve, and we study a lot about the people in the middle, the average people. But I think if we spent more time studying those outliers, those people that do things unconventionally, that truly go out there and become these rock stars at life, we would be able to grow so much more by grasping their truth. And that's what I see in you. You're a guy, I don't think you purposely went out there and said, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to succeed in a way that's unconventional. I think that truly you put your head down and you did something that is unconventional to a lot of us today. You just worked hard so that today you can go and play hard, and your play is work as well. And I think that every day you're learning and you're growing just because you want to. And that is such a novel concept for me, a guy that lives and breathes education. To see a guy who is literally living his best life right now and learning every single day simply because you want to. That's where you've gotten. That is so enlightening for me, and it's so exciting.
You know, my dad would tell me when we were younger, he would say, he'd say there's two schools of thought. You know, one is that you can work really hard when you're young, so that when you get a little older, you can chill out and go have fun and do stuff. Or you can, in your young years, go and travel and be crazy, in which case you're going to have to work extra hard when you're older. So he said, figure out which path you want to be on. And I just said, oh, I don't want to work hard when I'm older. I want to go and, you know, see the world and do what I'm doing now. So that's why in my younger years, every waking moment, I was working and learning, you know, and believe me, man, I worked a lot. I mean, literally with my first software company, there were times where I would go to work on Monday and I would go home on Wednesday. Literally. So I would go out into the parking lot on Wednesday and I couldn't even remember where I parked, you know, because I was there for 2-3 days in a row without sleeping. And but that's what I had to do to get the company up and going, you know, without investment capital. And I was dedicated to it and care about the people that work here. You got to represent them and lead by example. So, you know, so what? That's what I did, and it's still like that. But now, anyways, I get to go and cage dive with great white sharks and run with the bulls and go to Mount Everest. You know, go film snow leopards. I've been, you know, all over Africa, India. I've had leopards come so close I could touch them. Just 2 weeks ago, we were filming bears, and I'm telling you, there were 50 bears and within 10 feet of me, you know.
So I gotta ask you, do you ever get scared? Because I feel like the story of your life is just pushing through. Do things ever unnerve you?
Yeah, of course. You know, the leopard shook me up a little bit. And a few weeks ago, we were at Yellowstone, and my wife and I were standing on a cliff shooting down at a herd of bison. And we had hiked way out to the spot, and then the family came, husband and wife with their 2 young children, saw us out there. So they came to where we were so they could look down at these bison. And all of a sudden, the gentleman just started completely freaking out and yelling at me, "What are we going to do now?" And I turned around and looked, and one of the biggest bison had somehow scaled up the side of this cliff, and he was behind us. So we're literally heels to the edge of this cliff with this bison coming at us, with nowhere to go, really. And you know, my wife was there, so I was, you know, quite worried. And she made the mistake of separating. So you should stay together. And what she did was she moved away from me so that the bison had to literally go between us. And that's not the best thing to do. And we had just learned that a week prior with the bears that we were filming. But, you know, anyways, I got her where I was and got the family calmed down and the bison didn't want to hurt us. He just wanted his path, So I've been around the animals enough that you have to stay calm. They're looking at you and they're reading your body language. So if you seem chilled out, you give them their way, they'll take it. And that's what he did. He just wound up, but he was so close to us. I mean, the head of him is as big as my wife. And yeah, it was a good half hour after that. My knees were still shaking, to be totally honest.
And see, this is why a year ago I said, I got to get you on, because you never know when you're not going to come back from one of these shoots, man.
Oh man, I've had people in India hit me with a machine gun in my chest. I had in Ghana, they took my passport, and the security guards and the people at the airport were making me pay them to get my passport back. Or I stuck in Ghana of all places, and man, I could go one story after another of just these crazy things, but I don't know. I mean, for me, I don't want to be in danger, but you kind of learn how to do it, if that makes any sense. Like if you're by the bear, it helped me be by the bison. And to me, it's all, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I told my son the one day, he said to me, Dad, when you go overseas, don't people mess with you? And I said, like there have been times in the past, but I said, Shane, I like to look crazy because then they leave me alone. But I said that when the lion looks at the herd of wildebeests, right, they're very skilled at picking out the one to go and hunt. And I said, people are the same. So you don't consciously think about it like that. But if you look like prey, you're prey. So,
that's good.
So if you're at the airport or wherever it is, don't look like prey. And I said, we're mammals, man. We're animals. And you like to think that people have, a unique thought process, but I think at the end of the day, we're like the lion in some ways.
Wow.
So I don't know, man. I look at everything like that. I read a book one time. It was called The Wisdom of Wolves. And it's about how wolves survive because there's order in the pack. So I use that when I run my business. So there's leader wolves, and then there's wolves that just do stuff. And there has to be order. There has to be, or it just won't run smoothly. And it's like hockey. Somebody has to be the goalie. Somebody has to go score goals.
Yeah.
If the goalie's skating up ice, you're going to lose. So you have to understand what your role to the team is and stick with it and pay attention. It's as simple as that.
Wow, so good,
There's no
man.
magic to it, But I don't think, the way I see things and I think about things, I just try to take everyday life stuff and.
Well, I think what I'm taking away from this is, you talked early on about putting your nose down and just sticking to the grind. I think you've got a vision for your life, but you understand that in order to get there, you have to be focused on where you are. You have to just work hard now, trusting that your hard work now will pay off. And you're at this place now where you can look back and see a bunch of stuff that happened that in the moment you didn't know where it was going to lead. You weren't doing it because it was going to help down the road. You were doing it because right then in that moment, situations and circumstances dictated that in that moment you give it all you got, whether it was facing down the bears or the bison that then led to a lesson that you can then use later on, or when it was even going down to New Orleans and having to come back, or when it was taking apart the computers and figuring out how they all work. In the moment, you were just doing what you had to do. And you finally get to this place where you can look back. I think far too often, another thing that we do wrong, and I'm guilty of this as a dad, is I spend all my time telling my kids to just look forward and to cast those dreams and to cast those visions, as opposed to saying, focus on where you are right now. Like, have that dream, but what are you doing right now to prepare you for that down the road? We forget about the hard work that is required every single day to get you down that road, because roads are made from bricks. We got to pave the way. So that's my thing I'm pulling from you today. If you
Yeah.
had, go ahead.
I mean, I don't want to, lead people astray that that it's just been all like positive stuff for me, right? I mean, I've had software companies in the past where, man, I lost everything.
Mm.
And when I say everything, you talk about, people that are in depressions and their deepest, darkest moments. And man, I was there, because when you lose big. When you've got 100 employees that you have to go tell that things are going south. And I'm telling you, on my phone somewhere, I've got a photograph. It's just a picture of the sky and the sun. And what it was I was sitting on the couch at 4 o'clock in the morning, just thinking my life is over. I'm never going to be able to succeed and dig out of all the debt and the hole that I was in. And I just thought, well, okay, what choice do I have? Right? I can either end my life or go and start picking my bricks back up.
Mm.
So I literally went outside with my phone and I took a photograph of the sky. And I said, I'm never going to forget this moment. This is the moment that I started picking the bricks back up. And when I ever get like that again, I'm going to go look at that photo. So it was like, for me, a redo.
Mm.
But now I've had this business for 22 years. So it was a good redo. But you can't give up, I mean, that's the thing. You think at that moment that it's the end of the world. I tell my son, if you go and, the kid breaks up with the girl, he thinks it's the end of the world. And I told him, 10 years from now, you'll be going, what was that girl's name? Because at that moment you think it's horrible, but it's not,
Mm.
But yeah, for me, you just worry about you,
You remember how early on I asked you, who are you? What do you do? You're a bricklayer. That's what you are, man.
Yeah,
You're
I
out there
suppose,
just putting
right?
down bricks and um, making roads for everybody else. And uh, you're changing the world, man. You're constructing this new thought process within me. And I know there's people listening to this right now that are thinking the same thing. They're just like, wow, that's a nugget. There's a nugget. There's a nugget. You ever thought about writing a book?
A lot of people have said that to me, and like I wouldn't know where to start. Like it would be kind of fun, because I think that a lot of what my parents have taught me, I don't know. Thank God I had this sense to, kind of bury those things and think about them, But yeah, it would be a lot of fun to do it. I don't know that I would know where to start, but it'd be fun because I could, like, as far as business goes, there's been a lot of ups and downs that I could discuss and kind of weave that into some of the adventure story stuff,
Yeah.
That'd be
Well,
neat, but
I would buy it. So I'm putting it out there. You've got one copy sold already, if nothing else. So it's amazing.
yeah, I'll tell you, man, it's been a lot of fun, and it's just getting to be more fun.
That's amazing. I can't wait to continue to track your journey. I stalk you on all the social platforms. I mean, your photographs are everywhere. And every single time I check out what you're up to now, I'm just like blown away by the beauty of your photography and the journey that you are on, that with people and with life and society and the world. It's just like you are documenting the world for us. And it's so amazing to see. It's so cool.
Thank you.
So Ron, I got to ask you, and I told you beforehand that this would be one of those questions I would ask when we got close to the end of the story. And this is probably going to be extremely difficult for you. Maybe not, but it would be difficult for me if I lived your life. Because I feel like there are so many nuggets of truth that you have dropped with us and so many things that are so relevant to so many people. But if somebody came up to you and said, Ron, I'm just going to give you the microphone. I want you to just give us something. Give us the thing that you want us to hold on to, and then drop that mic, walk off the stage, and our lives are different because of what you just said. Do you have one of those moments of truth, of clarity, where you say, of all that I've done, it boils down to this? No
Yeah,
pressure.
I, I guess, I mean, there's a lot of things, but I guess the big thing is to be inspired
Mm,
and to inspire,
yeah.
right? So the more you give, the more you're going to get. And I just read something recently that said, if you expect something back, it's business. It's not
Mm.
giving,
Oh, that's good.
right? If you expect something back, man, it's because it's business. So just, I don't know, you just give and just work hard. And it's not easy, but it's cheesy that, you tell the kid, oh, you can be the president, you can be whatever you want, these cliches, but they're true.
Mm-hmm.
And if the kid can't go to college or doesn't want to go to college, they can still go and do whatever they want to do. They just quit talking about it and go do it. It's not going to happen fast, but I don't know, man. I think the one thing would be to love people, to smile, to greet people friendly, to have manners, to work hard. And there's not, in most cases, people will help you and want to be with you and want to do things for you. And it definitely will move you along your path, whatever it is. But I don't know, anything that I would have to give to people, I think would just be just common sense stuff that you've been taught that maybe you just forgot or you don't really live.
Well, if it was common sense, we wouldn't have to say it so often, though, right? I think it's stuff that we heard before, but I think you're a walking testament to the reality of it. I think people dismiss it because it doesn't line up with what other people present to them. But you are a testament that all of that common sense that our parents tried to instill in us, if you truly believe in that and say that that is the education that matters, that's the stuff that will get you far in life. Decency, kindness, honesty, transparency, hard work,
Dedication.
dedication, endurance, commitment, all of those things, that will get you everything you could ever dream. Because like you said, it might be you taking that next step, or other people see it in you and come tap you and say, that's what I'm looking for, because that's what I'm lacking, and that's what we need. And then opportunities present themselves. That's,
Yeah, so many people hook me up just because of networking.
yeah.
So just like sitting here with you today, right? This could potentially open up opportunities where somebody will hear this, they go check my photo, and then they go, oh, I know this wildlife photographer. And that's how the crazy dots
Yep.
get connected. But it's people. We in the business we say people buy from people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it, man. Just be good,
Just be a good
and good
person.
things will happen.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy, but so profound that in all of your adventures, all that you've done, all that you've learned, the nugget that you want people to leave with is be good to people, man. Just be good, and good things
It's one
happen.
of
That's
those
that's
that
amazing. That's amazing. It's so good, and I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's something we can all just latch on to, especially with the crazy world we're living in right now, man. Just go be good people, and good things happen.
Yeah, I don't know if you were looking for something more philosophical,
Nope,
but
that was it, man. That was good. If you got something else, go ahead. But that was
I think
good.
that's my heart. It's just like that. Just don't give up. Be dedicated. Be a nice person, and chances are pretty good that you'll do okay.
That's awesome.
At the very least, you'll feel good inside.
That's it. That's it.
So
Well, Ron, you are absolutely incredible with all the things you've got going on. The fact that you took time out of your schedule to connect with me and share your story with the thousands of other people that are listening to this and inspire them that you are truly changing lives just with your story. You're giving people the fuel they need to keep going. You're giving them the drive to focus on the right things. There might be some kids out there right now that are just being inspired to put their nose down and do the work. And there might be some 40-plus-year-old people out there right now saying, I'm just going to follow my heart, and then my head will catch up. regardless of what their situation is. I appreciate your willingness to just be so transparent, so real, and again, just taking time out of your crazy schedule to share your journey, because it's a fun one, man.
It's no problem at all. This is an honor, and it's a blast to do this. So no worries. It was a lot of fun.